All right, chat. Blizzard upset the Diablo 4 community. This seems to be something that's happening frequently, or at least seems to be something that everybody is telling me is happening frequently, when really it's just a few individuals making a lot of stink about nothing. Let's jump in. Let's check out the video. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if it's clickbait, or let's see if there's actually some new information here.
The Diablo community is not happy with the video that Blizzard released today about the endgame in Diablo 4, especially the Paragon system. I've summarized the information about the Diablo 4 endgame gameplay. You basically play through the campaign, then you get given a capstone dungeon to complete, which unlocks the next difficulty. In this video today, they said that dungeons have a chance to drop an aspect that you can pick up. So unlike the beta where dungeons would have a fixed reward, like you either got an aspect or you didn't, it seems like some dungeons, or maybe all of them, will have a drop chance of an aspect instead. I'd much prefer this randomized bonus instead of a guaranteed bonus.
I don't know. That's one I think that is up for a lot of people to debate. The random aspect gives you replayability due to the fact that it's not guaranteed, so you will be forced to redo it over and over again depending on what the drop chance is in order to get what you want, as compared to go here, get item X, profit. Good or bad, that's up to you as the gamer. Some people really like that grind in the RNG. Other people would much rather know exactly what they're getting and go pick it up.
And in the endgame, there's Nightmare Dungeons, which lets you replay any old dungeon as long as you have found a Nightmare Sigil. This makes the dungeon more difficult, have more objectives, and similar to Elite monsters, the dungeon itself will roll on affix and have an effect like spawning a bunch of portals that spawn monsters. Imagine fighting the Butcher next to 3 portals spawning demons. I mean, it could get chaotic in there. They also mentioned that...
So my hope, right, and one thing that I've been preaching on for a while is I hoped that the Nightmare Dungeons were sort of like the key system in World of Warcraft. The more and more I hear about them, the less I'm thinking it is, and by that I mean the less I'm thinking there are progressively harder sigils, like you'll get a tier 1 sigil, and then a tier 2 sigil, and then a tier 3 sigil, and blah, blah, blah. It just sounds like there's just a sigil. It's just like a key, it opens the door, bam, oh, look, it's harder. I could see where this could get kind of tiresome over time, but we do need to play it out and try it. TF2, I don't know what TF2 is, Metka. And there's a system like that where you can randomly get a golden weapon by playing the paid game mode. It seems, I mean, I can get that. You know what I mean? Like, RNG is definitely something that a lot of game companies use to sort of prolong gameplay by getting you to do the same stuff over and over again at a chance at getting rewards instead of just doing it one time. You know, if they can get you to play one dungeon 5 times, which is 50 hours of gameplay, or one dungeon 1 time, which is 10 minutes worth of gameplay, they're going to opt for the 50 because it makes it look better on their bottom line. It keeps you in the game, keeps you coming back, which means there's a better chance you're going to buy something from the cash shop. Team Fortress 2 is a first-person shooter. I've never played that.
The Tree of Whispers, which is basically a tree that gives you bounty quests. You do the bounty and you get a cash reward of your choice. It does seem like they've taken Diablo 3's town and just spread it across the map.
Now, that's not an unfair characterization. I don't feel like that's unfair. I was actually really excited for the tree until the more I learned about it, the more I realized it's just a glorified bounty system. I already hate doing bounties in Diablo 3, so I imagine I'm going to hate the tree just as much as I hate doing bounties, unless for some reason they make doing bounties something that, you know what, no, I'm still going to fucking hate it. Even if I have to do the bounties to upgrade my gear, I'll probably hate it more because I'll have to go do it and not want to do it even more.
Doing it this way forces us to use our mounts to run across the world, I guess. Oh, but they've also added 2 new ways to play the endgame on top of that. You've got Helltide. It's like a PvE event where extra powerful monsters are attacking a specific area, and they drop special shards that you can use to get gear at designated stations within the Helltide area itself. Then
and the and the Helltide areas are kind of like open world, like public events in Destiny 2, or just like open world events that are just going to pop up, and they're going to have a special currency. The question is going to honestly be, do Helltides give as good or better gear than Nightmare Dungeons do? Or are there certain items that only drop in Helltides and certain items that only drop in Nightmare Dungeons? Because if one gives better gear than the other, then that's the only one anybody's going to spend any time in.
And there's the Fields of Hatred. It's basically Helltide, but for the PvP lovers. There are regular monsters, but you can also kill other players, all whilst you try to collect shards that need to be purified before they're usable for gambling, cosmetics, and gear back in town. It honestly sounds pretty interesting, and I can't even imagine how intense this must be on hardcore. Okay, there were some things.
Yeah, I would say stay the fuck away from that if you're playing hardcore, if you even care in the slightest. Unless for some reason the death from a player doesn't kill your hardcore character. But then you could find ways to wipe people's hardcore characters by like getting them one hit and then letting like an enemy hit them or something. So there's definitely a system for abuse there. The PvP is actually one of the parts I'm the most excited for on the game because I think it's going to add the most replayability.
In the video that I missed, so you might have as well. First, there's a Lilith-looking boss, but it looks very much like the Diablo 2 version of Uber Lilith. In the beginning of the game, we can only have 5 potions, but it seems like in the end game we can have more, up to 9.
Yeah, you could upgrade. It showed that from you saw that in game. I mean, I know for maybe this person or for some members of the community, it might be a new revelation that you'll be able to upgrade your potion storage. But you could do that during the beta. You could go from like 3 to 4 or 2 to 3, 3 to 4 or something like that. So there's definitely a clear path of progression to upgrade them.
Maybe. During this new world boss, there's this invisible rogue who dodges the tornadoes perfectly, only to walk straight into the most obvious death ever, confirming for us all that you don't want to stand inside the big scary circles.
Confirming for us all that that player was an idiot.
There's this floating snowflake following this rogue player around. I'm not sure what it is. Does anyone know? Is it a skill, an item, a cosmetic, or is it just like a UI thing that you can enable in the menu? Drop a...
I think it was his date from the night before that he tried to ghost after the bar, but I have no idea. Obviously, it's probably a skill or something.
Comment if you know or have a guess. On to the most controversial topics of the Diablo 4 endgame so far, the skill and paragon system. I mean, we can see that we get 53 skill points, and refunding 1 point costs over 100,000 gold, which seems pretty expensive.
I'm pretty sure they've discussed. I'm pretty sure that they've discussed the fact that that cost is going to come down. I don't know exactly what I want to say here, but I'm pretty sure they've discussed that that cost is going to come down. So I don't know, like, when the footage they recorded for this part of the video was taken from, because that could be very expensive. But then again, I don't know how much money you make in Diablo 4 during the end game. Like, none of us really do on like the highest world tier. Maybe it rains gold. Like, this account has 2.6 million gold, so refunding 1 skill point at 100k is not that big of a deal for them, especially when they have 30 points available. I don't know.
And I think that's good. You get 4 paragon points per level.
Now, the one that I don't like seeing is the refund cost on the paragon board, because that could start to get really fucking ridiculous.
Past 50. So at level 100, you'll have 200 paragon points. And there are many variations of boards, and each board can be spun to your preference. I'd assume you want the quickest route to the next legendary aspect, which they said are similar to legendary aspects in your gear. And
how's it going, Nature Dweller? It's going really well. We're hanging out, we're vibing, we're watching a bunch of videos, we're reacting. We're having a good time. How you doing?
From analyzing the board, it seems to be about 40 steps between each legendary node, so you'll realistically be able to get like 5 legendary nodes on 1 character. So that's like wearing an additional 5 items. Not bad. And yes, a lot of people are very disappointed to just get +5 stats for most of the nodes, but via the glyphs, you can actually strategically boost these regular nodes depending on what you're looking for.
Yep.
So in my...
Yep, and I mean, it's no different than the current Paragon system in Diablo 3. Like in Diablo 3, you get +5 for every level you go up, you know what I mean? So it's not that crazy. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting if, like, you know, you were going to get +10 one node and then +30 the next node and then get to sleep with your best friend's girlfriend the next node, and then the next node was going to let you instantly one-hit shot every boss. But, I mean, in all honesty, I don't really know what people were expecting. The +5 seems pretty standard for a bunch of filler nodes. Like, it's not a departure from anything that's really out there. It seems pretty basic. Doing bueno? Well, that's good to hear. Did you have a good weekend?
Opinion, all of this as a baseline system at launch of Diablo 4 actually looks to create some really fun endgame builds and customization. And they even emphasized this in the video. The launch of this game is only the beginning. If the foundation of this game is fun, that's all that matters to me.
I mean, in all honesty, that's what I think people need to really take away, is that this is the launch of a new game. This is the launch of a new game. It's not going to come out. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to come out with everything perfect. It's a launch of a brand new game. We can be hopeful though. How you doing, Iowa? How was GTA 5? Did you guys have a good time? Were you playing RP server or single player?
I'm sure they will add more advanced systems in future seasons to keep things interesting. And I'm curious, are you excited about Diablo 4's endgame or are you disappointed? Share your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think there wasn't a lot in here to really talk about the community being upset. It was all stuff that we've heard before. The end game does look like it might be a little bit more skimpy than what I was hoping. I was hoping they were going to launch with like a full-blown key system, like Mythic Plus keys, which is a viable end game in World of Warcraft. And I was hoping they were going to do an implementation of something like that with Diablo 4. It doesn't quite look like they will. So the end game is probably going to launch a little bit skimpier than I was hoping, but it is the base game, and I'm still pretty excited for it. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do you guys want to see in the end game? What would you like to see improved? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and let me know what you thought of my thoughts. And as always, have a great day.